And if you have any questions, you ask, because as I said, I'm not a speaker. I never know where to start and where to stop. Yes, please.
I've been reading a wonderful book called The Mother's Vision, which is a compilation from her talks and so on, especially with the children. There was one from 1956 that I just read, and I'm so interested to hear from someone who was listening in that class what your reaction was. The question was about why there's no discipline and why the students may or may not be applying themselves to their studies. And she said it's because I've given you freedom, complete freedom, and some have taken advantage and some not. And I'm putting words in her mouth, but anyway, but she said that it's an experiment. And this is all an experiment to see what happens if you get complete freedom. So I would love to find out what your feeling was at that time, what your observations.
Incidentally, that question was asked in our class, and I'm the one that asked it. And Mother always said that discipline, if it does not come from within, if it is not self-discipline, it has no meaning. You can force discipline lasts only as long as it is forced. The minute it's not forced anymore, people go wild then. Then they start doing exactly the opposite of what they are supposed to do. But when it is self-discipline and it comes from within, and that is what she always wanted from the children in the ashram. That you must understand what you want and why you want.
And how were the children responding to her?
All kinds. Some rebels like me who left school at the age of 16. I said, I don't want to study. And she said, okay, what will you do? I said, I'll do sports. And then the rest of the day, then she said, okay, you will look after the physical education library. You will work there, you will do this, you will do that. Will you like to learn music? Yes, Mother. Then go to this one and learn music. My whole day had to be charted out and shown to her. But it was charted out by me. I would decide what I want to do. And she encouraged. But indiscipline, she did not encourage it. If I would say I'm going to sleep the whole afternoon and not do anything, I couldn't put it down. But it was always, she encouraged people to make their own decisions. And there were many like me that didn't go to school, that didn't follow the discipline. But then she always wanted them to find their own way. Not everybody did. Not everybody did.
But there were also some teachers who complained to Mother about the children making noise and disturbing Sri Aurobindo.
Sri Aurobindo, that we used to play in the ashram. We were so few, the children in those days, and often we came early before Mother's darshan. We all had our time to go and meet Mother. So there would be a lot of time, and we would start playing, running and chasing and all kinds of games in the courtyard downstairs. Then somebody told Mother that they are disturbing Sri Aurobindo in his work upstairs. Mother said, Sri Aurobindo never gets disturbed. It's you people who are disturbed. Similarly, we were a group of girls that used to disturb one teacher's class. We didn't find it interesting. So we used to always make mischief, ask stupid questions, trouble him no end. So one day we were with the mother and he came. He said, "Mother, these girls, they are incorrigible. They do so much, they make so much noise in my class and they disturb the entire class." So she looked up at him. "Surely your class could not be very interesting." So from that day we saw him going to the mother and spending a lot of time with her. She was guiding him how to make the classes interesting. And he did. He did change his way of teaching and his style of teaching, and we were better then. I won't say we were perfect, but we were better.
Tara Didi, can you recollect the events or the atmosphere on or before and after February 29th, 1956?
I happened to be sitting right next to the mother. Absolutely, when this thing happened, I was on her left side of this, sitting here, and I knew nothing.
Only 2 or 3 people apparently knew.
Yeah. And she announced it also much later.
Yes.
She didn't give that day the message.
Yes.
But she did give the original handwritten one to me, which is in my book, Growing Up with the Mother. The original paper, when she wrote it, she gave it to me. She said, "Today in the evening I'll read this in the class." So she took it up again in the class. But at that time, no.
Didi, you may want to explain what happened on
Yeah.
Sunday.
That vision is there, no? इधर ही कहीं बुक होगी, मैं पढ़ी क्यों ना दूँ? Where is no?
Maybe it is there online, I will look.
नहीं, ये इधर बैठा है ना, Julian.
Can you go up and get the book?
Can you?
Is it there?
Julian is there.
Julian is here.
It's in the book.
Growing up with the mother.
Mhm.
Oh, it's only going.
Raise it up, raise it up.
Yes.
Can you say anything about the first time you were aware of America or Americans? Did you meet someone in the ashram who was a disciple? Did Mother make any comments about America that come to mind?
No comments I don't remember, but I remember Eleanor Montgomery. She used to come regularly to the ashram and she used to wear our uniform, white shirt and white shorts and the kitty cap, but she would have all her makeup, which was for us on lipstick and whatever they do, I don't even know today. And so we used to talk about her, and everybody said she's a very rich woman.
She was an editor at Vogue magazine, which was as high as a woman could get as an executive in America. She's talking about
I have photographs also of Montgomery with Mother.
She was a fashion editor of Vogue, not just. So,
We were very small then. Nishta also I remember, Surya Kumari I remember.
Jyoti Priya.
No, Nishta I didn't meet. She died before we reached. Nishta is the daughter of the Woodrow Wilson. Yeah. We came to Pondicherry in 1944, and Nishta had died earlier. And Surya Kumari I remember. We were very small, very young then. But I remember Surya Kumari, a quite elderly woman in a sari. She would go to Mother for pranams. I remember her.
What about Jyoti Priya?
Jyoti Priya also I remember. I mean, in those days I don't think we were very much interested in politics or history or whatever. There was limited knowledge available in those days, very limited.
I know she made a comment about Nixon. Udar had said that she made a disparaging comment about Nixon when he was running for president against McGovern. And then, so I just wondered, and then your
I think
first
it
trip
must
to
have been,
America?
with Udar, then it must have been upstairs. I was not there.
Well, she had many comments about what the country stood for and what their progress would be in terms of certain.
Mother and Sri Aurobindo were very aware of what was going on in the world. Sri Aurobindo used to listen to the radio regularly, very regularly. The news, All India News. I remember we used to hear, this is All India News, when they used to put it on in Sri Aurobindo's room. But we were not interested at all.
Did you pranam in front of Sri Aurobindo?
Pardon?
Did you make your pranam in front of Sri Aurobindo as a little?
Not pranam as such, but we used to go in a line and we could stand for a minute in front of him. So from 1944 to 1950, I had all the darshans. We called them darshans because we only could see. After he broke his knee, after that accident with the tiger, they stopped people from bowing down to him. And so they put, the sofa is still as it was when Sri Aurobindo and Mother used to sit on it. And in front there were two wooden boxes to stop people from entering. In one box we put the flowers and garlands, and in the other box people put their offerings. And the next day was Garland Day. That not many people talk about it. After the Darshan Day was always the Garland Day. And those same garlands Mother would distribute to everybody. So we used to go up to Mother and get a garland from Sri Aurobindo's, offering of Sri Aurobindo's.
But as children, you would also lie down outside?
That I used to try, 2 or 3 of us, we used to try to see Sri Aurobindo. I could hear his voice. Nirodha was reading Savitri and Sri Aurobindo was correcting. I heard his voice. He had a very soft voice and a British accent. But I could never manage to see him. We used to say, we were very obedient children. Mother said, you can't enter Sri Aurobindo's room, so we didn't enter. We would keep our feet outside and lie down and try to see through the door. So I'm not going in, my feet are here, how can I be in that? I'm not in. But we never managed to see. I've heard his voice.
Didi, is there a recording of Sri Aurobindo's voice?
There was just one recording which was done on the 15th August 1947 by the All India Radio of
Tiruchirappalli.
It's Independence Day broadcast.
and they lost it.
They lost it.
It's no more. You see, at that time nobody bothered. Many years later, people started trying to find that recording, but not there.
You said he had a soft voice. Can you give some imitation or sense of it?
He not loud like me. That much I can say. He was not loud like me.
But a British accent.
British accent. He grew up in Britain.
Did you hear him reciting Savitri or?
No. Nirodha used to read out what he had written through the night. He used to write Savitri for hours into the night. And I had made an album which I want somebody, I don't have the knowledge how to do it, and neither do I find the right person with the right passion to do it. It was called Sri Aurobindo, the houses where he lived and the objects that he used. I made a whole album and it was very interesting. And there is a bowl, I think it is a crystal bowl, small one, in which Mother used to keep biscuits on his table for the night. He used to work in the night and he would feel hungry, then he would eat those biscuits. So, and the chair on which he used to sit at night and write Savitri, that chair is also photographed and kept. And what I got from Champaklal was that nobody knew at what time he used to stop writing. It was all there. next morning Nirodha would read it and he would revise it. So while Nirodha would read, Sri Aurobindo would make corrections. Say, no, not this, it should be this word or that word. That way we were hearing, not reciting.
Did Sri Aurobindo was a mother write about the karma, the Holocaust? I heard this story about Sri Aurobindo many years ago regarding the way he influenced Hitler to go after Russia, knowing that Russia would defeat the Germans. The story goes that he entered the mind of Hitler disguised as the demonic Teutonic spirit. Sri Aurobindo himself influenced the mind and told Hitler, now go after Russia, knowing that the Russians would stop the Germans. Is that a true story?
There are many stories and they must be true because they've been written by very dependent people like A.B. Purani and Nirodbaran, Amal Kiran Setna and those people. I was too small. I mean, I was 14 when Sri Aurobindo passed away. So.
Did Sri Aurobindo write about the karma of the Holocaust? He was so politically active. I mean, he was...
Here's the book. I'll tell you about the book after. George Van Brecken.
George Van Brecken.
Yes, I'll tell you.
You can Google Sri Aurobindo Holocaust and you'll know more than all of us, I guess.
There's a book by George Van Brecken.
Yeah.
There is the story of a fog, a mysterious fog on the beaches in Dunkirk or some major battlefront, which mysteriously came and Sri Aurobindo mentions it with a smile, as if he had something to do with it, that changed the course of the battle.
Yes, there are these stories, but I was too young to register anything myself.
How was your time with the mother responsible? How did she mold you into it? I know it's a very broad and hazy question, but
I don't know what, but I did a lot of work as I didn't go to school and was not interested in studying. She made sure that I learned a lot of things by working. So, organizing all that, she would put responsibilities on me. And that's how...
So you were mother's event manager?
No. No, I was too young for all that. And she put me in charge of the medical checkups of the children. Every year we had twice a year medical checkups. I had to make sure that every child is examined and the reports are properly maintained, the files have to be kept properly, and then the follow-up of it with the doctors, that kind of work. Then we used to have major sports festivals during a season, the athletic competitions. There were more than 1,000 participants, each participant participating in 10 different items, long jump, high jump, everything, whatever they wanted to do, they could do. So to make a chart that there are no clashes and everybody has their competition season worked out, so making those charts and things like that, doing all that work gave me a lot of responsibilities. And then, as I said, that one worked, everything one did was for mother. You did to please her, to get a little bit of praise from her, to just a pat on the back, you were very good today, I saw you do this or I saw you do that. So we all were like that, all the children worked that way. And she was the focus for everything.
And your book on flowers also.
in fact, my first memory of you when I joined the ashram was, I don't have, one of my first conversational memories is, I have people who do the work, but I want you to take responsibility for work.
Yeah, that is lacking today. People don't take, I mean, in our country, I don't know what it is here, but people don't take responsibility. You tell them to do, you have to make sure that they have done it or not done it.
Supervision is needed.
Supervision, too much of supervision.
No, but you do let go.
I let go already, but then the work doesn't always get done. But I'm not doing much now. There are many, Anju and others who have taken over the responsibility, and now I'm going garden crazy.
Yeah, that is one thing you.
So you're going garden crazy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are in the middle of a meeting and Tara Didi will just walk out because she's the only one who's seen the bud growing into a flower. It's opening. And we are in a very serious meeting and Tara Didi's moved out because she's there seeing something and she's saying, come and see this. So those moments of, might be the consciousness of flowers, which she had worked so much with mother. And so her whole preoccupation is, we were in London for 4 days and all that we were doing was visiting gardens and even here. So one more thing she is, please come to India to volunteer and please bring as many.
That is to help you.
Because they mostly go to.
I'm not working, so she needs help. Everybody needs help.
So one of the beckoning always is come be a volunteer, but also get a lot of flower bulbs and seeds on your way when you are in India. So she already knows the flowers she wants and the. So I think everything that is being done here, there's a lot of focus and consciousness. That it is not that it's not sporadic. It is done with a lot of focus. If the gardens have to grow, then the gardens have to grow keeping in mind the sentiment that mother has. So I think we all follow Tara Didi, still following what mother, without the cliched statements about it, because she's lived with mother. And so the names for flowers, the way the gardens are coming up, it's very simple. And she says she's moved out from a lot, but she's there. If I do something and something is missing, only she notices it. And many times I wish that we are covering it up and then she'll say, but this is not here. So that also I think is that question of equanimity and holding on. And if that we can bring to ourselves and carry it from here.
Maybe could you describe the experience when Sri Aurobindo was withdrawing? Sri Aurobindo was withdrawing in 1950. You were there in the ashram, Pondicherry.
When Sri Aurobindo passed away.
When he was withdrawing, the moments, how were your feelings, how were others?
No, withdrawing we didn't even get to know. Children, I was very young. I was 14 when Sri Aurobindo passed away and very busy with our programs. But we knew because mother used to leave early from the playground. So, which never happened in all those years. And then suddenly, after darshan, 24th November, she started going away early. She would, normally she would have left at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And she was going away at 5:36. So, we were told that she is going because Sri Aurobindo is not well. But Sri Aurobindo is not well, so many people are not well, so it was just like that. We were not allowed to discuss also. Nobody discussed these things with us. And as children, you don't give so much importance to it. It's only on the last 3 days after the 2nd of December, we had our annual show. And then on the 3rd and 4th, mother hardly came out. Then we knew that something is wrong. Then on the 5th, early in the morning, at 4 o'clock, my father was to leave that day. He was also in Pondicherry. He got into the rickshaw and my sister came and told him that you are going, but Sri Aurobindo is gone. What do you mean? Because those days we were told that mother and Sri Aurobindo are working on the physical transformation and so they will never leave us. This is the kind of mental things that were given to us as children. So Sri Aurobindo is gone, mother will never go. We grew up with that mother will never leave us.
And when the mother left, you were there?
I was quite old. I was old enough to understand by then. She left in 1973. I was already 40, I think, or more.
I remember reading about that time when Sri Aurobindo passed, that the children formed the chain to help keep the crowds in line. Do you remember that at all?
We were, as I said, we were too small. There was a group of older people. My elder sister was 18 then, 19. And there was a group of these Chiman Bhai and then all that. They've all gone now. But they were there. They were the ones that did everything. We were just children who were kept together at one place and But I remember it was in 1947 when the partition came. Then there were 12 people who mother had selected. She stood at the window and she said, the first 12 people whom I see will be put on duty to look after Sri Aurobindo. After he had broken his knee. And among them, the youngest one was killed in the problems after the partition. We were all in the ashram for evening meditation, and then the gate was closed and nobody was allowed to go out, and the children were told to sleep in this room or that room or that room. Whole night we were there, and that was terrible. That was a terrible night. One of the Mool Shankar, the youngest one who was serving Sri Aurobindo, he was outside, and he tried to come and knock on the door, and they slit his throat. And by the time the gateman understood that somebody is calling, he opened the gate and brought him in, and he was gone. That moment was terrible. That's what I remember of my childhood. At that time I was barely 11. Actually, I suddenly started confusing with the 1950 just now. So I started the story, but it was 1947.
Yes, if you have questions.
Then she can answer.
have questions.
Tara, could you please tell us about your early years in the Sri Aurobindo Ashram on Mother's Street? I know you've written about it, but not all these people know that.
Also, one can't write everything. Well, I would say we had the happiest childhood. No worries, no nothing, and the place was like a village at that time. There were nothing to distract us. There were no cars. There were 3 cars in the whole of Pondicherry, although Pondicherry was important because it was a French colony in India, and you had to go through the customs to go from anywhere in India to Pondicherry. So there were 3 cars. One was the governor's car, another rich man's car, Selvarajan, and mother's car. Just 3 cars, that's all. So like children in Indian villages still run out to see the aeroplane, we used to run out to see a car. When we got to know a car is going on the road, we would all rush out to see the car. The school was small, and the whole of the white town of Pondicherry, this side of the dining hall, was all ours. We just were all over the place, playing on the roads, and everything. There were no shops around. Far away there was the vegetable market and the fish market, to which I have never been. Far away means a kilometer away. And there were three shops on the main road. One was a general shop with all kinds of things. The other was a wine shop, and the third was a cloth shop. That's all. People in Pondicherry didn't wear shoes in those days. I didn't wear shoes all my childhood. It was much later that shoes came in. And that also came because of the ashram. The ashram was giving shoes to the chappals, to the ashramites, and we children used to lose our chappals as soon as we got them, they were lost. So we remained barefoot. So it was a very, very simple life, very simple, which today we can't even imagine.
So you should give them here. Sorry, just 1 second. You're talking about 1948,
44.
44, thank you.
And what was darshan like with mother as a child?
Darshan was special when Sri Aurobindo gave 4 times a year darshan.
Oh, okay.
That is called darshan. And we had what we called pranam, or balcony darshan, or terrace darshan. There were many darshans during the day where mother came in those days. And so the whole of our life rotated around the mother, which means that we would wake up early in the morning for the balcony darshan. She used to come and stand on the balcony for 10 or 15 minutes and give darshan, and we all stood on the road there and had her darshan. Then there would be, after that, there would be pranam on the staircase from the meditation hall. She would stand, but everything was fixed, who goes at what time. Then at 12 o'clock we had the children's darshan, which was just outside Sri Aurobindo's room. And we would make a lot of noise and everything, and mother would come with a lot of sweets, and she would give sweets to all the children and those, because naturally the place was full. So those who were sitting behind, she would throw and they would catch, and she would appreciate if you caught, if you missed, oh, she would say you missed the sweet. Things like that. It was all childish play with us.
Did she tell you stories or?
Yeah, later when the classes started.
Really, your life was rotated around the mother.
Yes.
Sometimes I used to feel when mother left her body, I feel why the mother left her body. But for you,
it was difficult, but by then we were grown up. I was 8 years old when I came to the ashram, and when mother left her body, I was how old? 37, 36, 37.
it was very difficult.
It was, but we were prepared for it. She had been ill for some time, and people knew that she's having a difficult time with her body.
I feel had I been at that time, it would be much easier for me to do meditation and all. Is it right or?
How to know? We can always look in the past and say it would have been. That depends.
Did you spend time with Satram?
No, but I knew him well. I didn't spend any time with him.
I think everyone probably doesn't know who is Satram.
Pardon?
Probably everyone doesn't know who is Satram.
Yeah, Satprem was another disciple of the mother, and the last agenda of the mother, some I think 12, 13 volumes, he was recording. He was going to the mother's room every day, and for 1 hour mother was telling him about her own personal sadhana, her personal experiences of her spirituality or whatever she was going through. Those have been recorded in the agenda. And there are 12 or 13 volumes are there. 13 volumes, yeah. So it was Satprem who recorded them. and transcribed them and then put them into book form.
And after 1970, the mother where she was living, she was not available. Even if you go to ashram building, you are sitting near Samadhi, you can hear mother's voice, but you can't know anything. And people were praying there at Samadhi, and when mother passed away, it was almost impossible to believe what was going on, because mother was always there. Physically or otherwise, she was always there.
Yes.
And you felt like a child of the mother, so you had no questions, you had no answers. It was so very easy that time. After the mother left, and we all started quarreling with each other, that is when we started finding out what is going on and why. And we started searching ourselves. And we had very clear answers. Each one had very difficult answers from his own heart. And now, though we have come all this distance, we are still struggling.
Tata, how did you come to go to New Delhi to be the person to organize the mother's school and really organize that ashram?
Now when I look back, I can see many occasions which were signs that she was preparing me to take up the work. But I knew nothing about it. In 1976, I came to Delhi and I wanted to travel. And my brother bought me a ticket to go abroad, to come abroad. But then suddenly I didn't feel like going. So I told my father, I'm not feeling like going, I'll spend a month with you and then go back. And then I started working and I started enjoying the work that I was doing. So I kept extending my stay. And then I stayed on.
New Delhi is a long way from Oroville, isn't it?
Yes, it's about 1,000 miles.
That's what
I know very little, almost nothing, so I'm being ignorant. My question, forgive me. Were there miracles that took place with people, physical miracles as well as like an enlightenment kind of thing? Or I don't know what the effect necessarily was from being around Mother and there.
Well, being around Mother was always very special. And she was an enlightened soul, a realized soul, what you would call, or we believe that she was an avatar. So for us it was something very, very special.
And were there things like physical healings that went on?
Pardon?
Physical healings, did those take place?
Healing?
Healing, yes.
Well, people fall sick and they heal, and whenever they had problems they would go to Mother and she would guide them and bless them.
And maybe the significance of flowers is something.
A
way of giving it to
experience living with the mother, very special experiences.
No, those are things not just like that to be taught, because not everybody has known the Mother or even read about her. I think there are many people here who don't know at all. So,
But a special
and
consciousness.
I'm not one that goes into those things.
So Tara, could you describe a little bit you were saying 1944, there was 3 cars, you didn't wear shoes in the beginning. How did the ashram school, which is now quite large, and there are dormitories that children live in, when you were first there were how many children, and how did that evolve?
When we came I came on the 1st of August with the family. My father was a freedom fighter and a successful businessman. And because he was a freedom fighter, he was in and out of jail all the time. And then we had my uncles who were much younger to my father, also living in the house. So my mother had to cater to so many people that he sent us to boarding schools. My two elder brothers went to boarding school in Delhi itself. My elder sister and me, we went to Lahore. She went to a very traditional Hindu school, and I was in a convent school, in a missionary school, very British. And my younger brother went to a school in Dehradun. So we were all in the boarding houses. And when the holidays came, summer vacation, we all came home. And my father took us for a holiday to Pondicherry. That's how we came there. And we reached on the 1st of August, and then there was darshan. We were supposed to stay for 2 weeks and then come back. In the meantime, my elder sister went to the mother and said, I don't want to go back. I want to stay here. So mother called my father and said she wants to stay here. So I'll have to look for somebody who will look after her. And then because she said that she wanted to stay there, we all followed. I also said I want to stay there, and my younger brother also said. And so mother said, then you'll have to buy a house and where we can start a boarding school. And that's how the first boarding school started in 1945. January 15th, 1945, the boarding school was inaugurated.
So the first students were your family?
Yes. And within 6 months, there were many other children that came in. And the school had already started before we came to Pondicherry. That is why my sister said she wanted to stay on, because she could go to that school. And the school was very big. I think there were about 20-25 children when we came, already there before us. And within a year it became double the number, and within a few years, 4-5 years, there were several boarding houses. And because all the boarding houses were just in small buildings, so just as many children as it could hold. And our boarding was the biggest, and we had 20 children.
Did you get to spend any time with Sri Aurobindo?
No, but I have seen him every darshan 4 times a year. But he was not available to people in the ashram. Only very few people used to go to his room and for serving him. And mother used to go there, and he was spent all his time writing the books.
That 4 times a year he came out?
4 times a year he would come and sit in the next room, which is called the darshan room, and we would go past, just see him do our pranam and walk away. We couldn't touch him, or we couldn't fall at his feet or anything.
So Tara, this title on this was Integral Education. So you had been in a boarding school in Lahore, and then suddenly you're in Pandi. Your family starts a boarding house. The school then was...
The school was already there.
Yeah. Was it ashramites teaching in it, or...?
Oh, they were all ashramites. Much older people were there, the sadhaks. They were our teachers, yes.
And were you organized in classes by ages, or were you just...
No, by ages, by ages.
You were? And how was that different from what you had experienced at the convent school in Lahore?
It was definitely absolutely different. There was so much freedom here, and in a convent school, you know how it is.
There was your sister tied up in a sari.
That was before,
Yeah,
even before this.
Even the children used to participate in meditation class?
No, we were not made to meditate when we were very small. Much later. Mother started the classes sometime in 1950, and then she started the meditations for us. Until then, children just enjoyed themselves.
But
So
told about meditation. What she told about meditation, is it necessary?
All that is written already in her books.
But mother has also told that it is not necessary to do meditation. No?
Mother has not said anything of that kind, neither that it is necessary nor it. And each one has to be, it depends on the individual. You want to meditate, you can't be told to meditate. What will you do? You can close your eyes, but you can't meditate.
That's why I'm asking.
No, it was nothing of that kind. There was no compulsion about anything.
Was sports organized at the beginning when you were?
Yeah, in 1945 there were two people, Pranabda and Birinda, who came from Calcutta, who had their own clubs in their places there, and they used to teach. So when they came, they started the sports, and mother gave it a lot of attention and a lot of time and encouraged it a lot. And then there was A.B. Purani, who has written books on Sri Aurobindo. A.B. Purani is considered the father of physical education in Gujarat, the Indian physical education. He and his brother started these akhadas for youngsters to become fit so that they can go to to fight the freedom movement.
So were you required to do sports, and did you wear blue shorts and a white shirt or green shorts and a white shirt?
Tell her about you're not going to school then.
Yes. Isko kuch nahi bola.
And what sports did you do? Like soccer?
Pardon?
What sports did you do?
Oh, we did all sports. We didn't do any sports competitions outside the ashram. But within as it grew, and the older people also joined into the sports department. There was a time when we had 1,200 members in the sports area. But it depended, but each group was organized according to their ages.
And tennis? Tennis? Cricket?
Tennis. We had all games. We had tennis, we had cricket, we had football, we had basketball, volleyball, we had boxing, we had wrestling, we had judo, we had the Indian lathi stick play, and then we had athletics, swimming. Swimming pool came up in 1954 or 55, something like that.
Track and field.
Track and field, all the activities, and everybody had their turns going around, learning all. Mother believed that you should train your body in everything, not just one sport, because that gives you one kind of development. So we all did once in a week, major games once a week, minor games once a week, swimming once a week, athletics twice a week, gymnastics, and so on. And all 7 days, there were no holidays in the sports. 365 days.
Well, did they make much differentiation between the girls and boys in the sports?
No, we actually tried not to. But up to a certain age, it was okay. And then after that, they had to be separated.
Did you ever play tennis with the mother?
Yes, mother used to play tennis every day in the evening. She used to be there around 4 o'clock. Even in Pondicherry summer, I don't know how many of you really know the Pondicherry summer, and she used to play on the concrete courts. On the concrete court at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And she started playing at the age of 72 and finished at the age of 80. And before that she had played in her childhood. It's not that she didn't know how to play, but in her youth she had played, but afterwards for so many years in Pondicherry itself, from 1920 to 1950, she did no sports. And then she started with table tennis and then shifted to tennis. And so all of us, when it was our birthday, she would invite us to play on that day with her. So I played with her. And she gifted me one of her old tennis rackets also, which I still have.
Did you beat her? Did you win?
Number one, nobody played with her for winning, because we didn't throw the ball here and there. We tried to have as much volley as we could with her. That was more important, to be back and forth how many times you do. And the second thing, that when we went to play with her, we were always a little nervous. So we didn't play too well.
How old were you when you played tennis with Mother?
I started probably when I was 15 or 16. And then I didn't play for long, only as long as Mother was playing. Then I would go sometimes. I did after that also as exercise. I have played tennis, but never excelled at it. My eyes were always bad, so I was not, and I refused to wear glasses at that time. So half the time I didn't see the ball.
So Tara, I may not be expressing this quite the way it should be, but the idea of integral education and the ashram school was the child is supposed to be the one that says, this is what I want to learn.
Yes.
So when you first started in the ashram school, did you know what you wanted to learn?
No, these theories came much later. In the beginning, we had 2-3 teachers only. The ashram didn't have the facilities, so they were regular classrooms. But what was taught was usually from Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's books. See, in the olden days, what was there? When they taught English, they would teach you grammar, and they would teach you reading and writing, and they would teach you to take a dictation without mistake. That's what they taught in English. It was not like today, they have so much advanced. In our time, it was not like that. So they used to teach, and we had to learn poems from Sri Aurobindo's. Already at that time, we had learned small poems, A Tree, Invitation, Who, which I was reciting. These things we learned right in the early years. And dictations were given from Mother's prayers and meditations. And so these things were with us all the time. The base and the value system was developed from that time only.
And then you actually had conversations with the mother about her prayers and
You see, you're looking at a long span. I was there for 30 years with Mother. So in 30 years, what all she did, this was the beginning, what you first asked. And then later she started the classes with us. She was doing different books. She was reading, and then we would ask questions and she would answer. Those have been recorded, transcribed, and turned into books as questions and answers from 1951 to 1958.
How old were you when you went to New Delhi?
How?
How old were you when you went to New Delhi?
I was, I think, around 40.
Yeah. And you started school there?
No, I just told you that I went there with the motive of going out a little bit, but then I continued to help my father, and then I stayed on.
Could you say something about the flowers?
Yes.
A lot of people don't know anything about Mother's work with the flowers and.
I have written in my book, Growing Up with the Mother, there is a chapter on flowers. I was working with Mother on thoughts and aphorisms and when that finished, mother asked me what I would like to continue studying with her. So I said that, mother, if you will work on the book of flowers with me. So she said, okay, because she had already given about 800 flowers. Significance was there long before, and Liesel had made out the first booklet with the significances of the flowers. So mother used to see the flower and she would then concentrate on it and give a significance to the flower.
So when did that start with Lizelle?
No, actually mother started this in Japan, giving significance to the flowers. She had already started in Japan, but that was only a few flowers. I know of one which she was very fond of, was wisteria, the creeper. She loved that creeper, and once she thought of taking a Japanese name, and that creeper is called Huji in Japanese. And so she thought she would take that name, and so she called herself Fujiko. But she didn't actually take it, but it was only in her mind. Her friend Nobuko Kobayashi wrote this, said about this once. That's how we got to know. And she started, and that flower is, the significance is of wisteria is poet's ecstasy. Poet's ecstasy.
Say it again, please.
Poet's ecstasy. So she looked at flowers, and it's remarkable how fabulously she gave the significance which absolutely fit the flower. Absolutely fit. Like in those days, early years in the ashram, she gave the neem flower, she called it spiritual atmosphere. Years later, people have done research on that, and they say it is the best tree to have to reduce the pollution of Delhi. So they're planting everywhere to remove the pollution of Delhi. So they're planting the spiritual atmosphere everywhere.
The neem, is that the neem?
Neem.
Neem.
Bougainvillea also.
But you have hydrangea here.
Yeah. Bougainvillea is protection. And this hydrangea is such a beautiful bunch. She's called it collective harmony.
It comes like
when you look at it, you can see that it's such a correct significance for it.
Is there a significance to, is it daylily or some kind of lily?
The Madonna lily has a significance, isn't it?
Madonna lily?
She's asking about lilies, but Madonna lily I think has.
I don't know which one is Madonna.
Okay.
But the white, the perfect white lily.
Very long petals.
There are so many varieties of lilies, and so it's difficult for me to.
significance of flowers is also on the net now. That book is on the net. It is there.
Yeah, and upstairs, there's
Upstairs
flowers
also.
and their messages. A very nice
Very
reference
nice.
book.
But it's also
just
You can
look
get
at
that from
right here.
here.
Great.
Yes, and many flowers from the west are in there too.
Yes,
Yes.
many
Yes,
of them.
many.
Was there somebody in the ashram who was specifically in charge of flowers?
There were people. Ashram had flower gardens, and every day flowers were cut and brought to the flower room, and there were 2-3 elderly people who are
But there
passed
is a
away.
general use of flowers, but which flower, where, how? No.
No, nobody was like that.
How
But
mother knew so much about even the details about botanical and which are
no, she didn't. Those botanical names when we were working on the book, At that time, the two Richards, Richard Eggenberger and Richard Pearson, they were at the same time going on putting the botanical names.
In one of your books, you speak about when you were a little girl and how you and some of the other little girls did not take as much advantage of mother's French. Do you remember? You must remember writing about that. So I thought that's a sweet story if you want to say something about it.
No, we had the class and mother would read a passage and then she would say, she would wait for people to ask questions. And normally, because I don't know, Indian girls are very shy anyway, and at that age nobody wanted to, and the whole atmosphere was such that everybody wouldn't speak up. I was quite bold, so I used to ask the maximum questions. And so my father used to say that everybody understands, you are the only one that doesn't understand what mother says.
Which was it, your
Was it as good as your own mother when you were talking with her?
Yes, yes. She was my own mother. My father used to say my mother tongue is French. He didn't speak a word of French, but he used to say my mother tongue. Because of mother. So it's like that for me also. And we would be sitting around mother, and then there would be all ashram sitting around. People who knew no French, who understood nothing. They would just be sitting to be able to see mother for an hour. So everybody was a little nervous and wouldn't ask questions. So then mother started, okay, you ask a question. Have you got a question? Have you got a question? One by one she asked. And even then they didn't. Then she said, okay, you write and give me the questions before the class and then I will answer them. So for 1 or 2 days the questions came, and then from the third day again no questions. So one day she was annoyed and she got up from the class and she went away. And then me and my friends, we used to go together to the mother in her room upstairs. So when we all went, she was very stern. She said, I come there to answer your questions and you have no questions, no curiosity. She literally scolded us and all. And she said, it doesn't matter, you just ask me a word meaning, even that will do, from the text that I am reading. So from then on, I made it a point every time to ask something. And she would take it to wherever she wanted and whatever she wanted to say. So that's how the 8 volumes of questions and answers came up from the class.
Most are from your questions, isn't
Most
it?
of them are.
Yes.
And then later, when she stopped coming to the playground, she stopped taking the classes naturally. She stopped coming out. She was always upstairs. And whenever I got an opportunity, I used to tell her, Mother, let's start the classes again. Please start the classes again. And she never said anything.
Was that because of her age or her health? Or?
No, she said there's no curiosity. She didn't want to continue. So one day when I told her she asked me what I would like. And I said, Mother, you start the classes again. She caught my hands and she literally was scolding me or whatever you may want. Very strongly she said, nobody asked any questions and it was, they were just sitting there, everybody dumb, no curiosity or anything. And so I started crying. And then she took me in her arms and she said, no, I didn't mean it for you because you were asking questions. Now you can write and send me your notebook. With your questions I will answer, but I will not start the class again. That's how I started my notebooks, and that is what the growing up with the mother has in it.
But she used to ask questions of particular people. when we were all sitting in the playground, she will ask a question to a particular person.
We had to ask her.
No, but did she ever ask?
May have asked, I don't know.
Like why you are sad today, or why you are quiet today, or anything?
I don't remember so much.
So everybody was given a little book called Mother, right?
The mother?
Here, yeah.
Here.
Not everyone.
Yeah.
Not everyone, everybody is being.
Yeah, I got
Little
it.
bit, right? So is it the same mother you're talking about?
No, that's talking about Shakti. Mother's talking about Sri Aurobindo and Mother.
No, but that's the same as
So the book
So to
Mother is
clarify,
about the four
Sri
aspects.
Aurobindo wrote the book, The Mother, about the divine Shakti.
Divine Shakti.
The mother that Tadaji is speaking about is the incarnation of that great Shakti. And it was Sri Aurobindo himself that announced to his devotees about 1925 that this lovely French woman was not just here to keep the ashram clean, but in fact, she's an incarnation of the divine mother.
And that is there in the mother also at the end.
Yes.
At the end it is there.
On supramental day, you were there in Pondicherry.
Yes.
When did you see the mother last?
I was there when she when she passed away. Then.
So Anju, when did you come into the picture?
I came into the picture with my children when my oldest son is 30 years old, and I have not seen mother, but I worked with Taradidi. And I've seen the action that mother must have through her and the Delhi ashram. So my son was 3 years old, 3.5 years old when he went to the Meera nursery. So after that, then one became a volunteer and started helping out with education. So it's been a long journey at the ashram. So maybe 25, 26 years now. But actively working, I think I was always drawn to it. But was always very tentative about it because I was a mother of 3 kids myself. So there was always a step here and a step there, which still is true. But then Madhuban happened, and I went to Vandivas for one of the camps, and it is there in the camps. Then for a day we had to go to Madhuban, and when I went to Madhuban, this is about 15 years back, 15 or 16 years back. I remember distinctively it was 7th of June. And 7th of June also happens to be the birthday which Kurbanji, the gentleman who gave this place to us, used to celebrate as Madhuban's birthday. So many years, and then little work here, little work there. And ironically on 7th of June, 3 years back, even we took the relics there. So I'm still part of a larger whole, and I do believe that it has not happened by accident. There were little things happening and taking us there. And my kids used to be small and they also grew up there. They would go for their holidays and come back. And so it's been a journey of great learning, great love. And I haven't seen mother, as I keep saying, but I have seen Tara Didi and I have seen Kurban Bhai, the person who gave us the ashram also. Because when you see people giving away something so selflessly and moving, and those are the memories and the path which is there for you. And I'm there now.
Yes.
That is the reality.
She is in charge of Madhuban now, looking after that center.